All right, Algebra 2, we have our second semester review, and this is the Unit 7 part. So I have the Unit 7 document attached to the post, so you can kind of look at that. Remember, whenever we have even and odd for the graphs, we had that little table. It's been a little while since we've seen it, but there's positive, whoops, oh my goodness. Try to move it over here. There we go. There's positive and negative accounts or functions, and then there's even and odd. So if it's even and positive, the end behaviors are both pointing up. Even and negative, the end behaviors are both pointing down. Now when it's odd, one's negative and one's positive, or one's pointing down and one pointing up, one's falling, one rising. So when it's positive, odd, the left is pointing down or falling and the right is rising. When it's odd negative, the left is rising and the right is falling. So since we have the left falling and the right rising, that's positive, and our degree will be odd. It also shows in the picture that our left is falling and our right is rising on that. Remember, the x-intercepts are where it crosses or touches the x-axis. So x equals -1 and 3 on that one. Remember, whenever it touches the graph, like here, it's a multiplicity of 2. And when it crosses through, like here, it's a multiplicity of 1. So the equation would be x minus 3, remember we changed the signs, and that's squared since it's a multiplicity of 2, and x plus 1 to the first. All right, so another one, keeping in mind of that graph, they're both rising, so this is positive, and since they're both doing the same, that means it's an even degree. Our left end behavior is rising, and our right end behavior is also rising. X-intercepts, so we have a few here for this one. So we have crossing at -2, -1, and +2. Remember, multiplicity of 2 is whenever it bounces off. So that one does, and that's at -1. The other ones cross through, so it's at -2 and 2. So the multiplicity of 2, remember we changed the -1 to a +1, and that'd be squared. The other x equals -2 becomes x plus 2 and x minus 2. All right, 2 more problems for Unit 7. So factoring, my favorite thing. First, pull out what they all have in common, which is an x. We write that in front, and that leaves us x squared minus 9x plus 14. So we got to figure out what multiplies to get 14, adds to get -9. So -7, -2. But it says solve, so we set all of these equal to 0. Move it over so you can see the other part. Oops, sorry about that. We solve, so this one is just x equals 0. We add 7, so x equals 7, and we add 2, so x equals 2. So all of these are our answers, which again at the beginning we could have said, hey, it's x to the 3rd power, so we knew there was 3 answers. All right, so we have factoring, and now we are going to solve for x. A way to start this is by using the graphing calculator and seeing what values the table gives us. So I would plug in the equation into the graphing calculator, and I get that x equals -2 x equals 5. But just like before, we found out that there's 4 answers, so we're going to need to do synthetic division a few times. I'll use -2 first, or no, actually let's use 5 first. So 1, -3, 6, -48, -160. So it's 1, multiply, that's 5, add together to get 2, that's 10, that's 16, so 5 times 16 is 80. Add those together, that's 32, 5 times 32 is 160. Add that together, remember we need that remainder to be 0. So we're going to use these numbers again, and we're going to do synthetic division with the -2 now. That adds up to get 0. -2 times 0, remember, is 0, so add that together. -2 times 16, -32, and again the last number is 0 again, which is what we want. So this would be a remainder number x squared. So I'll write in blue the other part, because we're going to use that x squared plus 16 to find my other 2 answers. So I would set x squared plus 16 equal to 0. Subtract 16. X squared equals -16. Take the square root. So first off, there's a negative underneath the radical, so that's an I. Also need that plus or minus, and that changes to positive 16. So then we have the square root of 16 is 4, so plus or minus 4. That's 2 answers. That's the other 2 answers that I needed from the first ones I got. So that's Unit 7, Semester 2 review. Hope that helps. Let us know if you have any questions. Thanks.